It is astonishing to me that it is still January. This has felt like the January of 10,000 days, a ceaseless month of bad news and worse news and endless staying home under gray skies. Yesterday's blue skies and sunshine felt like a sign. Hooray, finally at last, this endless January 2021 is actually ending. And of course, for me, with February's arrival is my 3-month sabbatical, a gift and grace of UU ministry that is an opportunity for all of us. As Wendy identified, a sabbatical it's a rest. It comes out of that Sabbath day Jewish tradition. And in the ancient Hebrew times, people were not only encouraged to rest every seventh day, but custom called for every 7 years farmland to be left fallow, and every 49 years debts were to be forgiven and slaves and prisoners freed. And these customs were intended to help people, I think, and systems break free of entrenched routine and create change. They offered a collective reset to help new perspectives arise and relationships to reorient. And these days now, the Sabbath day is that small personal reset opportunity to help you lift your gaze from routine and catch a glimpse of the greater whole and connect to your spirit. Now, Sundays in Canada used to be a day of rest for pretty much everyone. Businesses and stores were closed and there were few public or commercial activities. But in my lifetime, that societal rest period shrank down to just Sunday morning and has now just mostly disappeared. Sundays are a prime activity day for kids, from hockey to gymnastics, as well as a shopping day and a work day for many. And I wouldn't say this is necessarily a bad change. After all, for most Canadians, Sunday's just part of the weekend. Muslim and Jewish people hold different days as Sabbath without any societal accommodation. But I think we all lose something when we aren't intentional about having a Sabbath time, especially now as time stretches endlessly under these pandemic restrictions. Our days are both sort of broken up into minutes and hours as we follow the clock for Zoom meetings and appointments and meal times. But time's also diffused into this endless sameness as we stay at home each and every day. And I can imagine for those who go into the workplaces, it must just feel like there's no end in sight to this odd distance and masked time, the awkwardness of trying to work together. So it's no wonder that January feels 10,000 days long. Well, at the same time, I also feel like it can't possibly be a full year since the first cases of COVID. Where did the year go? I think for me, much of it went into Netflix. And ritualizing some of our time keeps time from becoming all of the same anxious pace and peace. And so as our space in the world has shrunk to home under that onslaught of global crisis after crisis, I think time has become that same anxious pace. And anxiety is exhausting. Ritualizing some of our time, creating moments of Sabbath, help shape our days and weeks with intention. And they provide those markers where we can kind of step outside that anxiety for a moment. So I think now more than ever, we may need that ancient practice of the Sabbath, those moments outside of ordinary time to restore our flagging spirits. These intentional resets help us cope with the endless sameness, grayness of lockdown living. Now, I hear from many of you that Sunday services have become a highlight of the week because it is a ritualized moment, that time and place for us all to be together and think a little differently. And so I'm glad that this service is a Sabbath rest for many of you, because my hope is always that you leave feeling better than when you arrived. But you can also create your own small moments of Sabbath. Regular morning meditation, I know some of you do, or intentionally reading poetry in the evening. Even exercise can be a Sabbath reset. It's a change of pace that refreshes and takes you out of yourself. Some of you have monthly or seasonal rituals that help you mark the journey of the year. And ultimately, what matters about Sabbath is being intentional, turning away from your to-do list, turning off the phone and radio and TV and laptop. Sabbath is the moment you press pause on your daily routine and let you sift yourself into being open to yourself, open to the greater force of life on earth, open to the divine. It's kind of like putting on Mr. Rogers' cardigan. You know that when he takes off his jacket and puts on that cardigan, you are entering a special time of dreams and kindness and insight. A time just beside ordinary time, just enough distance away to give you a new perspective. And my hope for each of you is that you have time each day or each week to put on Mr. Rogers' cardigan and give yourself the gift of Sabbath. I'm going to pause for a moment of quiet contemplation, just with some silence. We won't have music at this time. And I'm going to invite you to ponder some questions. So get settled, shake yourself out, take a couple of breaths. What is your Sabbath? What takes you out of ordinary time and leaves you refreshed and renewed? Think about how you feel during and after. And if you don't have anything, consider what used to be a Sabbath moment for you. Is there things that you used to do that you could bring back in your life? And let us take this time right now to sit together and be. There is a Catholic legend about St. John the Evangelist, who is one of the disciples beloved by Jesus. And St. John is sitting outside in the sunshine, gently stroking the feathers of a tamed partridge hen. And a young hunter passes by with his bow slung over his shoulder. And he stops and he says to the older man, "How can it be that a holy man such as yourself wastes your time playing with a bird?" And the saint smiles and answers the question with a question. As a hunter, why do you not keep your bowstring taut and ready for an arrow at all times? If I did that, said the young hunter, my bow would lose its strength and flexibility and no longer serve its purpose properly. Just so, says St. John, and in the same way I take the chance to relax so that I might give myself more fully to my work. No person lives well who does not take the time for recreation. Well, I've been careful over the 7 years of ministry with you to hold Monday as my Sabbath day. I can feel that it's time for a longer break, for that sabbatical to refresh my sense of all that's good in myself and the world. The bowstring of my heart is feeling overstretched and held taut too long and in need of some rest. I am sort of surviving and not thriving. And of course, that has much to do with the pandemic, where sort of work and home bleed into each other in these endless days. But I also know that there is another part of it that is just that the intangible work of ministry itself is made better by having occasional sabbaticals. And in the Unitarian Universalist tradition, minister sabbaticals are times to renew, to explore, to contemplate, so that we can return to community life with new inspirations and insights and serve you better. Stepping away from the seasonal rhythms of congregational life to have that break allows me to gain a new perspective on our work. And it provides the same for you. You get the excitement of a fresh voice offering Sunday wisdom and new opportunities to step up and help the congregation thrive. We have managed marvelously well throughout this pandemic, and you will continue to do so. It is such a gift and grace to be extended this time, and I am more grateful than I can say. I know I will miss all of you and the good we do together, and I know that I need this pause. Bruce, Chatwin, explorer and writer, tells a story in one of his books of a white man many years ago hiring locals in northern Africa to carry his gear on an expedition. And he pushes them hard to a fast pace, and after several days, the porters put down the gear and refuse to budge. And the white man cannot offer them enough money to get them to move, because the men said that they had to wait for their souls to catch up. Now, I haven't been going anywhere in a hurry this year, but I do have this sense that my soul and I are a little far apart. I think it was tired of Netflix and Zoom and has wandered off a little. So this sabbatical is a time for my soul to catch up, or for me to catch up with my soul, to restore my well-being with some intentional well-doing. I'll be spending time in nature as much as possible, because I find walking in the woods deeply restorative for me. I'll be spending time reading, returning to cherished sources of wisdom, and finding new sources. And I'll be taking care of family. And I also plan to spend time reviewing our years together, looking all we have accomplished since August 2014, and thinking a little bit, looking ahead to where we might go next. In the midst of all this great uncertainty lies opportunity. I'm going to miss all of you and this work that I love, and I look forward to being back with you at the end of April with my first service on May 2nd. And I'm so glad to be part of this chalice community that says, go away for a bit, find renewal. We'll be fine, and we'll do great things together when you get back. I wish all of us had employers so generous and so wise. Blessings on all of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So say we all.